Welcome, everybody, to Next Gen Leadership. I'm your host, Jimmy Ryan, and we have today Gino Franti and Sasha Stair. Say hi, guys.
What's happening?
Hey.
All right, so today we all talk with loan officers every day, and one of the common themes is we're going to talk about is burnout. And what a lot of people are talking to me a lot of times privately. Some people a little bit more open about it, but privately, people are saying that, man, I'm so burnt out. I don't know if I have it in me anymore. I am questioning whether to keep on going, and truly, we're as an industry as a whole, we're burnt out. It's been a long winter, and truth be told, it's still going, and it's going to probably be at least another 6 months before we're out of this winter. And some people are thinking, like Gino, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. So I want to talk, and we're going to focus today on burnout. And I think that this is particularly relevant to our industry right now. Gino, what are you dealing with on a daily basis with the people that you talk to?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to set some perspective here. People have burnout when times are good too. And I had to deal with that as a leader in the industry where, people were coming to us, "Oh, I'm so tired. I can't get to my phone calls. I can't answer everything." And I'm like, "Oh my God, do you wish you had those problems now?" Because when we heard those, Don having 37 years experience in the industry and me having 20 years experience, we were warning our people, say, work till your fingers bleed now because there's gonna be a winter. It's not there might be a winter, there will be a winter. And so now I don't think any of us expected the winter to go this long. And so what I find, or what I think everybody needs to find within themselves in order to avoid burnout, is really have purpose and love what you do. So what this is doing is this is creating question in people's mind. Is this what I want to do with my life? And so approach that from a healthy standpoint. Reevaluating where you stand is not a bad thing, right? So the fact that it's difficult makes you reevaluate. And if
Right.
you find that this is what you love and this is what you're going to do and you're passionate about it, then go all in. And because burnout is a mindset, it's not a physical trait, like most
Right.
times.
Right. And I mean, the way I relate it to is that, like, if you put me in a corner and you have big, strong forces against me, the way I look at it is that that's when I thrive because I'm forced to get stronger than the forces that are against me to get out of the corner. And I feel like right now it's been a long battle and people are in a position to give up. And like Sasha, you're dealing with a lot of stuff right now. We all are. But like Sasha, how are you handling the tendency to want to get into the mindset of I'm burnt out. I don't know if I got this in me anymore.
Yeah, I like what Gino said about reevaluating where you are. But I think once you've done that, even if you decide that you're going to stay in it, you kind of have to reset and rethink and say, hey, I might need to take a whole new approach to this. And whether that is a different angle of how you're going to come into your role, or whether that's just, I may have had great morning practices, I may have had a great routine, but it's just not cutting it. And for me personally, I've had a lot go on this year, a lot professionally happen. And my morning routines, I'm a crazy routine person. It wasn't cutting it. So I had to rethink, okay, same thing Gino said, reevaluate. Do I still want to be here and do I still want to keep doing what I'm doing? Answer is yes. If that's the case, then what do I have to do different in order to be in a mindset that can handle a longer winter? And I think sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's harder to see the adversity for what it is. I wrote about it this week in my Monday Magic, like, why is it happening? What am I supposed to do about it? And where do I go from here? And so having additional practices to turn to makes it easier to at least put that aside and go, I may not get or understand why this is happening right now, but one day I'll look back and it'll make sense. And I do that through morning reflection. Like every morning even if I have to get up earlier, I need my time with my coffee and my gratitude practice and journaling, because that is a chance for me to let go of anything from yesterday that I still might be holding on to and really set my intention for the day. And I think starting with gratitude is always critical because it shifts our mindset, it shifts our energy, to be more positive. And then when we think about what we're going to do going into the day, we're doing it from that grateful, positive place, which I think is a game changer.
So
Yeah,
I want to talk about this.
Morning routine is critical, guys.
So
Absolutely critical.
So this is leading into mindset, and you said it perfectly, Gino. Burnout is a mindset. It's something that you are portraying out. It's your energy, and what you're talking about is a morning routine. And look, some people don't do a morning routine at all. Some people are super dialed in. Whatever it is, it's more of what is your attitude when your feet hit the floor first thing? Is it I'm ready to take the day on, or is it, oh my God, another day of this? And I think whatever you need to do to flip the script on it to be, I got this, and I'm going to crush it today, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to win, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do the little things that are necessary. Gino, what do you do personally? And what do you advise your team to do to start their day and to put themselves in the positive attitude that's frankly required to be a good, successful loan officer?
Yeah. So ironically for me, it starts with sleep. Like it starts the night before. Tomorrow starts with tonight. And so what we need to do is make sure that we go to bed. Now I'm just going to I could say when I used to go to bed after drinking, my heart rate was higher. I didn't sleep as well. I didn't have deep sleep. My REM was screwed up. So for me, not drinking at night and going to sleep at the same time every night and having really finding what my circadian rhythm is and working with that, it sounds kind of all weird and hocus pocus and holistic, but the truth is I never gave it enough credit until I did it. And then so focusing on sleep is item number one. And then that leads to waking up early in a good state of mind with good energy, right? And if you have that good energy, then I personally, and I know you do too, Jimmy, is the gym, right? Try to go to the gym at least 4 days a week. And stop thinking about the gym as a place to get results for your fitness. Start thinking about it as I'm going to go get a endorphin hit. I'm going to go get dopamine. You could find dopamine in alcohol, just like you could find dopamine at the gym. Right. So I would say if you're seeking and hunting dopamine, don't doom scroll on your phone first thing in the morning. Go to the gym.
Yeah. And it comes down to it truly is. It's like an addiction. And you actually, there's a lot of science that backs this, is that you get the same high out of working out as you do off of drugs and alcohol. It's the same high, but one's healthy, one isn't, and we all know the difference. And then deeper than that is, I go to the gym 5 times a week. I'm in the middle of a challenge. I was just telling you guys, I'm trying to be sub 10% body fat, which I think for the first time in my life, I'm going to set it on the scale and do it. That confidence, momentum, motivation bleeds into everything. It's just like, you cannot tell me no. I am setting a demo right now with you. We are calling this next lead, calling this next lead, calling this next lead, and I'm moving past it. You can't stop that type of discipline. You can't stop that type of energy. Sasha, what are you doing? What specifically would you advise people that you're consulting to, hey, I don't have a morning routine, or maybe I do, whatever it is. How are you helping them to put themselves in the mindset of, you're not stopping me today?
Yeah, I like the gym. I will say this, there are people that don't like gyms. And so I think we want to expand that to just do something that moves your body. So whether you go for a walk, and you can, if you have a dog, great excuse to go for a walk with your dog, get them some energy outside. I personally have a German short hair pointer that needs as much energy to run out as possible. Whether you do yoga, whether you do Pilates, whether you're just going for a walk by yourself, along a creek side, whatever it might be, get out in nature, right? And you can do this not even just in the morning, but if you're having a moment midday, because a lot of times this is what happens. We do have a great morning routine. Everything's going well. And then all of a sudden that one thing goes wrong, whatever it is, and boom, we go right back down into the crap hole, right? And now we're like, well, so much for my morning routine doesn't work. No, it does, but life happens. And so if we train our mind, our spirit, our body to handle adversity at all times of day when it hits, we can go back to those practices of, hey, I'm just going to get up out of my chair right now and go outside. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. It does, just go outside and get a breath of fresh air. Science shows that if we physically change our environment, it will shift our stress level, right? It gets our mind to focus on something other than the problem at hand. And so even just knowing that you have access to physically move around an office, getting outside of a building, getting a car, going for a drive, going for a walk, whatever it might be, just physically move your body, both as a general practice, but also as a interrupter of stress in the moment when it happens.
So I'm going to try to hit that with like 3 things here. Number 1, Craig Davis is a master of that. Okay. Craig Davis I'd be talking to Craig when we were in the middle of like drama at Finance of America, whether it was drama through growth, drama through shrinkage, drama through whatever we were going through. He would call me and he'd be on these hikes. Right. And so, he'd be hiking because that's where his mind was clear. And that's what he would call me. He wouldn't call me from his desk dealing with his problems. He called me while he was out hiking in the sun. And there's something to be said for the sunlight too. So if you take in sun, that's a really important thing. Now I'm going to probably give credit to the wrong person. It's either Hal Elrod or Darren Hardy. I can't remember, or maybe neither one of them. But I remember at one of the events that I went to, it says the difference between successful people and people that are not successful is how long is your pity party. So
time box it.
I'm almost sure it's Hal Elrod. You get 5 minutes.
Yep.
If you have a high EQ and you're going to be successful, you get 5 minutes. So yeah, just like what Sasha said, get up, move around, reset, come back and deal with it.
And so, I also think we've gotten into like a stigma of like, we can't have a 5-year-old temper tantrum. Yeah, you can, just do it in an appropriate place for, to your point, an appropriate time frame, right? Like don't do it in front of your customer. Don't do it in front of your teams if you can help it. I mean, we're human, we're real, but you're allowed to go sit in your car and, rock out to some heavy metal for a minute if you need to and like get it out of your system, right? You're allowed to go, they've built places where you can go break things and, throw paint everywhere for a reason. Like it's unhealthy for us to hold all of that emotion in. So we've got to find healthy ways to let it out, even if it feels like it's a little outrageous. That's fine. But to your point, you time box it, you let it out, you get out of your system, and then you come back refreshed, renewed, and go, okay, back to my practices, back in the rhythm. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue too, oriented thought process, right? I think the one thing that, yes, you can have that temper tantrum. The reason it should only be 5 minutes is because there's nothing you're doing that's going to fix it in that 5 minute space. So you, in that 5 minutes, yes, grieve quickly for the problem and then say, what can I do about it to fix it? And this is probably even more important. If there's nothing you can do because it's outside of your control, then just let it go. Mm-hmm. Because if I can control it, then there's actions I can take to change it. If it's outside of my control, Finance of America was closing. It was completely outside of my control. So the only thing I could do was react as best I could to it.
Yeah.
Right. There was nothing I could do to will them to stay open.
And it's okay. I believe it comes down to discipline, and discipline is not something that you can flip a switch on. It's a muscle that you grow, and there's levels to it. And I think that a lot of people have a lack of discipline in mentality, in the way that they're feeling. And I personally, I pace. I don't know if there's any pacers, if you guys are pacers or not, but I would legitimately pace for hours in anger. Like I've done that in a past version of me, and I know a lot of people that would relate to that. And I started to think, wow, this is so unhealthy. All I'm doing right now is I'm building the muscle of anger, of rage, of depression, of sadness, of whatever it is. And it takes a lot of effort just to stop that. But then it takes even more effort to build the muscle of the awareness of what triggered me to start going down that path. And now the road to recovery is a forever road. You're never perfect with it. But if you can get to the point where you can feel yourself going down the pity party path, and I would argue, Sasha, it is getting a phone call and it's switching me over. I would argue that if you can avoid the pity party entirely, like, can I control this? Can I not? No. Move on. because the more time you spend in pity party, the more time you're building that muscle of that anger, that rage, all the things that are negative, and you're lacking the time of building the muscle of peace, of happiness, of tranquility. And it's something that you really do. You have to work at. And if you can get to the point where I feel myself going down this way, and right at the beginning of that feeling, I'm going to go the other way, and then go do some work, get busy, do something else, get onto that next thing. I think that that's ultimately what people need to do when they're in that burnout stage. But there's levels to it. And if you're aware that you're doing this, then you can make the change. But don't be there and be in a pity party and be angry and be like, I don't have a problem. No, you have a problem. And you got to do something about it. And I guess, because Gino, Sasha, I know you guys talk to people that are like this. And like, I'm sure you have people on your team, Gino, that are like, maybe they're in the dumps. How are you getting people out of that? What are you telling them to do? Like, I mean, I would tell people, go to the gym.
Yeah,
but like,
but like Sasha said, the gym's not for everybody. Yes, that's a nice hack, right? That's one hack. That's a hack that works for me. That's a hack that works for you, but it's not a hack that works for everybody. What I try to advise my team mostly is go get a win. So what? You took a loss. Go get a win. So maybe you need to take an easy win. Maybe you call a client that you know is a friend of yours, but you haven't talked to him in about a year. They'll be happy to hear from you. Just a simple little tiny thing. Yeah, you have a good conversation. All of a sudden you're out of the funk, right? Call a friend. Hey man, I'm in a funk. Can you talk to me for 10 minutes? You know, like literally it's just like, for people that have addictions, like if it's like a 2-minute urge that you want to go down that road. If you get past that, you're past it. So I like to say, go get a small win, little victories. And then you need, like you said, discipline is a muscle that grows only through the compound effect.
Yeah.
Right. So don't do, and that is Darren Hardy.
Right.
So
you're right.
So only don't disregard that the little tiny things are valuable. The little wins count. And so I think that, in fact, one of the things that, and I dabble with doing this, I probably will, for those that know, I'm a real estate investor prior to having a mortgage life or a media life or any of that. And when I see people that want to get into real estate and I see how they're being advertised to on Instagram and all these things, I'm super frustrated about it because I'm like, real estate is not a get rich quick business.
Right.
And so I want to have a whole podcast around get rich slow.
Yeah.
And this is the same exact thing. Like, you can't find inner peace quickly. Like, if you have an anger problem, it's going to take some time to unwind that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a low EQ, it's going to take training, and you're going to have to read, and you might have to go to therapy, and you might have to figure out why it's happening. So, but that all sounds daunting. So take a small step in the right direction.
I want to transition. Let's transition to self-care as we wrap up. But Sasha, before we do, anything you'd want to add and lead us into self-care, what we're doing to take care of ourselves?
Yeah, I would say the only thing I'd add is you got to be consistent, right? So like, yes, these are like, we're talking about things you can do in the moment, but you have to build your practices. Like you said, the discipline, build the muscles over time. And yes, there might be some soul searching you got to do, deeper practices you need to look into, but ultimately it's the consistency. So it's like having faith, right? Faith means that you believe it's there even when you can't see it, right? So we have to believe that it will get better, even if it doesn't the first time you try something, right? The first time you go to the gym or the first time you try gratitude, you're like, this didn't work, so screw it, I'm done. No, you have to give it time and you have to keep doing it over and over. But if you do, and you're committed to it, eventually you do see the difference. You feel the difference. And typically people notice it too. And don't be surprised if someone says, hey, you're a little different last month. Like I noticed something different in you and I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, what's going on? Don't be surprised, because people will feel that energy shift in you. And then, okay, it's working. And you just have to keep, again, believing that there is light at the end of that tunnel and keep going.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to share my personal story. So the hardest part for me when you're trying to make a change like this is it's actually an identity shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to leave behind the person you were to become the person you want to be. You have to be okay
that again. Please say that again.
Do not be afraid to leave behind the person you were to become the person you want to be.
Amen.
And you have to find peace in that first before you can make any change, right? And for me, that came in the form of, look, I haven't had a drink in 7 months, and I had to go through like there's some people that only know me from partying. Like there's people that don't know me in a work environment. They know me from partying and having a great time. I love
You're
that.
well known. You're well known in that space.
Yeah.
And we're throwing a good party.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. And look, I still shut down all the bars at Total Expert, even though I wasn't drinking.
But you know what?
I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with that. That's not what defines me. That's not my identity, and that's not where I'm going. But it was great. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was the right thing at the right time. But now my time is different. I want to achieve different things.
And I would even go deeper with it.
Yeah, you're probably going right down the path I'm going, because we've talked about this. You still do an unwind practice, even like it's still a ritual with drink, just not alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm asking the question, but I would love for you to share it, because I think it matters to have not just the morning ritual, but also like, what do you do at the end of the day to unwind and let it all go?
Well, so I have a non-negotiable stop at 8 p.m. I do absolutely no work after 8 p.m. So that's critical. Now, granted, if you're out on a convention or something like that, you bend those rules, right? There's always going to be exceptions, but nothing good happens after 8 p.m. because anybody who's working, and I'm going to say this because I've done it when I was younger, of course, but now as I mature and I get older and more experienced, I'm like, that's what was burning me out. So now I learned to say no. So if you text me after 8 p.m., if you email me after 8 p.m., I might look at it, but you're not going to hear from me. I will not engage in conversation after 8 p.m. because nothing good happens after 8 p.m. That means we're disrespecting each other's personal space and time.
Boundaries.
Right.
Yeah. And so the more, and you've heard Warren Buffett and everybody else, all incredibly successful, Richard Branson, the more you say no, the more powerful you become.
Gosh, that transcends into everything. Parenting, gosh, like everything, 100%. I want to go deeper on this. Just an ounce. We're at the end of time, but you have to kill the old you. Is really what you have to do, and you almost have to use the same energy and anger and rage and whatever sadness, whatever it is. You have to be so pissed off at that old version of you that you kill it dead, and it needs to be quick. Like, I'm doing it this way, but not anymore. It's dead. I'm going this way. And I'm a little intense, but I mean, I don't think everybody's going to share the intensity of that. But I think the quicker that you get to death, the quicker you can be reborn. 100%. And right now, there's a lot of people that are hanging on that should be killed so that they can be the new person. Gosh, that sounded terrible.
That did sound terrible.
Good content. Maybe the delivery needs a little polish.
Delivery was off about that.
Yeah. But we understand, yes.
I know you get me, but it's like, but if you're clinging, here, transcend this into mortgage. We're clinging on to 2020. We're clinging on to 2021. That's dead. It's gone. It ain't coming back anytime soon either.
If interest rates is the only thing that defines you, seek a better purpose in life. Like, seriously, like that just can't be what defines you. On that light though, about like killing your former self and changing who you are, a great coach for this, if you're looking for a really good coach in things of this nature, is Steve Scanlon. So Steve Scanlon wrote a book called Rewire and did a lot of homework on the neural pathways of the brain and having to change from your lizard brain because your lizard brain tells you, it's your subconscious that says, whatever you did today worked because we lived, do it again. That's why habits are hard to break, right? It's survival instinct. The survival instinct that wires us. Well, we need to make that conscious effort to rewire. So if you're struggling with how to make that change, I suggest that book. I suggest Steve Scanlon. In fact, maybe we'll have him on one of our Thursday More Momentum calls to introduce everybody to Steve. He's a really good dude, super, super smart, and an expert in this field.
I also like a more, I'll say, feminine, softer approach to killing the identity. One of my favorite exercises ever is called Clear, Connect, Create. So what's the behavior that you want to clear, the activity, the trait, whatever it might be, right? I no longer want to do this. connect to why, right? And the purpose behind what you want to shift, why you want to shift it, and then create an I am statement. So if I'm saying, I don't want to be negative anymore, what's the connection, the truth of why that's to be the case, because it permeates into everything I do. And so the new statement that I'm creating is, I am a positive person who sees positivity in everything I do. It's a very simple exercise. And even just in writing that, again, your mind's going to shift.
Yeah. And I'll define that. I do the same thing, but I just do it in a more business fashion.
Sure.
Start, stop, keep.
Yep.
I didn't make that up. What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to keep doing to be the person I want to be? And that's one of the best exercises you can do almost in any scenario, whether it's business, personal, with friendships, whatever it is. That exercise, like you just mentioned, Sasha, or the same, mine's the same but different in case it speaks to someone in a different way.
Absolutely.
When you identify start, stop, keep, it's hard when you find yourself in that space. You're like, oh, that's a stop. I need to stop doing that. It's easy to identify.
Yep.
So I would do that exercise if I'm somewhere that I'm lost right now, and we're kind of running out of time, Jimmy.
We are. We're over. I think let's wrap this up. So I want to just thank you guys for joining us today. And if you are, I guess here, comment on this. Is this resonating with you? Is there anything you want us to go deeper into? We would love to. This is Next Gen Leadership. This is for leaders, people that aspire to be leaders, and people that just want to get better. Thank you, Sasha, for joining us. Thank you, Gino, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, Jimmy.
See you guys.
Thank you, Sasha.